When the final book on golf is written, there'll no doubt be many chapters dedicated to the exploits of men named Hogan, Nicklaus, Palmer, and Woods. There'll be stories of Patty Berg and Babe Diedrichson Zaharias breaking glass ceilings, and barrier breakers like Charlie Sifford that changed what tour golf could be and would look like forever. There'll be tales told of the many old golf courses around the world that have been sites of some of golf's most amazing feats. Courses like the Old Course at St. Andrews, where Swoken Bridge has seen nearly every single Golf Hall of Famer cross its fabled stones. Places like the historic Pebble Beach Golf Links, whose views of the Pacific Ocean crashing around its iconic 18th hole has been witness to some of the U.S. Open's most famous finishes. There are the magical magnolias and loblolly pines that line the famed Amen Corner of the heavenly Augusta National Golf Club, whose Masters tournament has been home to some of golf's biggest battles. Without doubt, courses like Pinehurst No. 2, Bandon Dunes, TPC Sawgrass, Cypress Point, Marion, Turnberry, Bethpage Black, Shinnecock, and more will each have their mention across the pages. As too will the legendary course designers that made these courses, names like Old Tom Morris, Pete Dye, Alister MacKenzie, A.W. Tillinghast, Donald Ross, and more have physically and literally left their mark on the golf landscape that will forever be their legacy to the game. Each one of those stories are just as important and captivating as some of golf's most thrilling and enthralling Ryder Cup finishes. But equally important to the story of the game are the locations across the world where golf is able to touch the people. Golf is a game for everyone. That's what makes it such a beautiful story. It's for every age, every gender, the white collar, the blue collar. The access to public golf courses is nearly always the starting point to every golfer's story. It's usually a public course that a golfer first falls in love with the sound that little dimpled ball makes when it falls into the hole. The access to public golf is the runway to a lifetime passion for the beautiful game of golf. And nowhere is this more evident than the Sacramento's Haggin Oaks Golf Complex. If the century-old heritage oaks at the Haggin Oaks Golf Complex could talk, they'd tell remarkable tales of players who've become household names in the golf world and once teed it up at this Alister MacKenzie masterpiece. Names like Sam Snead, Jimmy Demerit, Tony Penna, Walter Hagen, Al Geiberger, and George Archer. Haggin Oaks is the track where the legendary Ben Hogan won his first professional check, $350 for third place in the 1938 Sacramento Open. Gene Sarazen, the Squire himself, played here in the 1935 Sacramento Open, finishing 8th and taking home all of $72 for his efforts. Since 1932, Haggin Oaks has played host to dozens of PGA professionals, players like Bill Glasson, Cameron Champ, Kevin Sutherland, Natalie Gulbis, Annika Sorenstam, Jim Dent, Johnny Miller, Bob Murphy have all contributed to the storied history. Ken Venturi won the 1950 California State Fair Championship here before going on to win 14 times on the PGA Tour and then eventually moving to the broadcast booth. Even the great Byron Nelson participated in the Sacramento Open at Haggin Oaks. It has hosted 2 national USGA championships over its history, but that's really not what makes it most special.
And you just met a lot of great people out here. It's where I learned to play the game of golf and where I kind of grew in love with the game of golf.
It just really feels like home and kind of like a central spot of golf here in Sacramento.
There are certain things in Sacramento, if you've spent any time here, they're woven into the fabric. I know that sounds cliche, but it is. And Haggin Oaks is one of them.
Since the course opened in 1932, it's been managed by only 2 PGA of America Hall of Fame golf professionals, Tom LoPresti and Ken Morton Sr. They're the only 2 PGA golf professionals of the year to ever be from the same facility. And their legacy of player development and making the game accessible to everyone in the community is the gift that they've given the game. Many of golf's national programs opening up the game to juniors, people of color, disabled veterans, Special Olympians, those without sight, and golfers suffering from strokes are the models by which the game has been copied worldwide. Extensive women's programming has met quite literally more than 1 million rounds played by female golfers over its history. Even the heralded National First Tee program was modeled after the Sacramento area youth golf program started by Morton in the early 1980s.
Haggin Oaks is the hub of well-being. It's the hub of golf here in Sacramento.
You know, this facility has always been about creating golfers and welcoming golfers and being a place where they can learn and grow and be their home.
Every single day, something good happens at Haggin Oaks. It's a true pleasure for me to come onto the property and let people know that I work here.
It's golf for everyone, golf for anyone, golf for you. Haggin Oaks has been the setting for hundreds of thousands of love affairs. It's this magical, municipal, oak-lined setting where golfers fall head over heels in love with the game. It's personal because the main protagonist in this part of the story is you, and the venue is your Haggin Oaks. Turn the page with me. Let's discover together this beautiful story of 90 years of Haggin Oaks. This is our story.
Welcome to the Haggin Oaks Golf Complex. Hello, I'm Frank LaRosa, and I'm here to help guide you through 90 years of history at this one-of-a-kind facility. To know Haggin Oaks is to know its namesake and how this course came to be.
On December 20th, 1844, Rancho del Paso, a ranch of over 44,000 acres, sold to Elia Grimes and John Sinclair. This land grant was the first colonist settlement in the Sacramento Valley. It stretched from Old Sacramento to the west, the American River to the south, and covered all of where the current Haggin Oaks Golf Complex is today. Rancho del Paso changed hands several times and finally in 1859 became the property of James Benally Hagin and his brother-in-law Lloyd Tevis. J.B. Hagin was born on December 9, 1822 in Harrodsburg, Kentucky. Hagin's reputation included being one of the most successful mining men of the country. He also became internationally renowned as a breeder of fine racehorse stock.
James Benally Hagin was a very influential person. He was an attorney from San Francisco, and he went into the mining business and he became very, very wealthy. So wealthy that he was able to get a grant for the property from north of McClellan Air Force Base all the way down to the American River and all the way over to the Sacramento River. Before he came here, I mean, it was wild. It had mountain lions on it. There was nothing on the property.
Over the next few years, farming and cattle ranching on the land became more extensive, but Hagin realized that the Sacramento climate was perfect for thoroughbred breeding and racing. So Hagin and the Rancho del Paso began shifting from a typical ranch to a world-famous breeding and training ground for thoroughbreds. In 1873, Hagin hired John McKay to run Rancho del Paso. McKay was an expert trainer, and for the next 30 years, his knowledge, coupled with Hagin's wealth, created the incredible success the Rancho turned out to be. Today, Kentucky is largely indebted to J.B. Hagin for the fame of its racing stock. Hagin purchased a horse called Salvatore, and in 1890, Salvatore broke the American and world record by nearly 4 full seconds. Other famous horses owned by Hagin were Ferenzi, who went on to become a member of the Hall of Fame at the National Museum of Racing, and Hagin also owned another horse called Benally that won the 1886 Kentucky Derby. At Rancho del Paso, Hagin bred Tyrant, Comanche, and Afrikander, colts which each won the Belmont Stakes respectively. All were raised right on the Haggin Oaks land. In 1891, the Rancho del Paso Land Company was incorporated by Hagin, and he began selling acreage to the Sacramento Valley Colonization Company for subdivision purposes.
He began to sell off his property because he wanted to move his horse ranch to Kentucky. The city of Sacramento bought the land for Del Paso Park and as well as for the Haggin Oaks Golf Facility.
The ranch would sell for a whopping $1.5 million for the entire ranch, and later the sale of 149 acres was sold to the Del Paso Country Club in 1916. Not all was peaceful and tranquil on Hagin's ranch, however. There was plenty of tragedy. On August 2nd, 1852, there was the famous rifles at 30 paces duel between James W. Denver, then state senator representing the Trinity and Klamath counties, and Edward Gilbert, editor-in-chief of the Alta California newspaper. The duel took place near the Oak Grove house where the two duelers had breakfast on the morning of the tragedy. Denver shot and killed Gilbert and incredibly went on to become the Secretary of State. He resigned in 1855 and became a member of Congress from 1855 to 1857 and was later appointed governor of the territory of Kansas by President James Buchanan. He died in 1894, regretting the duel to his grave. Another duel took place on the golf course property between Philip W. Thomas and Dr. Dixon on March 9, 1854. The weapons were dueling pistols, and the distance was 15 paces. Dixon fell to his death. It was said that Thomas never was the same after this event. A third duel in 1855 took place between Robert Tevis, a young lawyer and brother of Lloyd Tevis, and Charles Lippincott, a state senator from Yuba County. Ultimately, the duel cost Tevis his life. Hagin died September 12, 1914, at his Newport, Rhode Island residence and was buried in Woodlawn Cemetery in New York. He left a legacy of love of the land and the love of sport in horse racing that would carry on with this landscape's next evolution into a golf course.
When Sacramento decided to build their first 18-hole course on what was the Hagin Ranch, they had a stroke of genius, or maybe it was a stroke of luck.
When the idea came to build it, the city of Sacramento had to look out into the golf community and pick a golf course architect.
They had heard of this gentleman who had helped design Augusta National and Cypress Point and several other very famous golf courses.
They hired a much buzzed about UK designer named Alister MacKenzie to design their course. He happened to be in California working on several other projects. It was his first municipal project.
Dr. MacKenzie, of course, had just built Cypress Point, and he had built the Meadow Club, and he had built Pasatiempo, and he was working on Augusta National, and he had built all these amazing world-class golf courses. And the city of Sacramento was very lucky to convince him to come to Sacramento to build the golf course here.
Originally a surgeon in England, Alister MacKenzie served in the Boer War and World War I, developing camouflage techniques for trenching and bunkering, discovering new ways to manipulate depth perception and create optical illusions in the battlefield landscape. MacKenzie emigrated to the U.S. in the early 1920s, where he applied his knowledge in the realm of golf course architecture and design.
How can you not like a MacKenzie golf course? MacKenzie was famous for his golf designs in Northern California.
He is very famous for creating deceptions of distances, placing greens and bunkers and trees in certain situations that would fool the golfer.
He had what they call ocean greens. When you look at an ocean being calm, that's how he wanted to have rolling greens. And what else he liked to do is have hidden bunkers. So if you're at the tee box, you might not see the bunker. That's what I liked about it, because it made you sort of guess what club to hit, how to play the golf course.
His belief was that gorgeous, flowing, nearly biblical golf courses would always require thought, positioning, and a proper dose of luck. That each course had more to say about its environment than the architect who designed it. He practiced before the era of bulldozers, which left him little capacity to force golf holes where they didn't belong. MacKenzie completely understood the role of risk and reward in the placement of hazards, which became the standard by which course designers still aspire. MacKenzie had an uncanny knack for rhythmically combining modest golf holes with more heroic challenges, always allowing room for the lesser player to enjoy the game.
Anytime you're a tour player and you go out there and you're playing one of those types of golf courses, you love it.
MacKenzie gave himself a week to work out the layout and a month to work out the finer details for the course. The undulations, the oak trees, and other natural conditions, said MacKenzie, who appeared quite enthusiastic, will permit the designing and construction of a beautiful course, one that will be not too hazardous as to discourage the beginner or the average player, yet intriguing enough to interest Bobby Jones. The course falls into the same design style as Bayside and Augusta National that were built during the same time frame, with no rough along the fairways, undulating greens, minimal bunkering, and allowance for a pitch and putt course that MacKenzie was known to advocate, but which was never built. By September, Hunter Jr. and the American Golf Course Construction Company had been hired to build the course to the plans drawn up by MacKenzie.
One of his key foremen was a gentleman by the name of Mac McDonough. Mac was the person who was going to take Dr. MacKenzie's blueprint and make it a reality. And so when his foreman, Mac McDonough, came to Haggin Oaks, he really liked Sacramento.
He was so enamored with Haggin Oaks that he stayed here and became its original greenskeeper and maintained the golf course for the first 30 years.
During Mac's 30-plus year tenure at Haggin Oaks, he also built and designed the Arcade Golf Course at Haggin Oaks in the 1950s and the Bing Maloney Golf Course for the city of Sacramento, which opened in 1962. It was under MacKenzie's tutelage that McDonough learned the fine points of design, carrying on many of the traditions and traits his mentor passed down. It was October of 1932 that the first 9 holes was opened. It was originally called the Sacramento Municipal Golf Course and would only later change its name when Bing Maloney was built. The second 9 holes officially opened with an exhibition match featuring the Dutra brothers, Olin and Morty, 2 local golf professionals. Following year, MacKenzie opened one of the crowning achievements in golf, the Augusta National Golf Club, home of the Masters. It's considered one of the finest tests of golf in the entire world, and it's that entire world that engages next to their televisions for 4 days each April to see who will take home the green jacket. But on January 6, 1934, just a little more than a year after Haggin Oaks opened, MacKenzie passed away from angina pectoris at his home in Santa Cruz at another one of his designs, Pasatiempo. He was just 63 years old and died virtually broke, despite traveling the world building some of golf's most classic designs. On August 14, 2005, nearly 70 years after his passing, Dr. MacKenzie would be inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame in St. Augustine, Florida. To this day, he is recognized throughout the world as being one of the greatest golf architects of all time. He was quoted as saying, "I try to build courses for the most enjoyment by the greatest number." In that regard, Haggin Oaks is quite likely the most played MacKenzie golf course around the world, having played the most amount of rounds of any of his designs. And it's this lasting legacy that he left as a gift to the people of Sacramento in the form of something equal parts historic and classic.
One of the first things that the city of Sacramento did, and it was really a brilliant move, is they hired a gentleman by the name of Tom LoPresti to be their first golf professional here at Haggin Oaks.
The irony about Tom LoPresti, the first head golf professional at Haggin Oaks, who was there a remarkable 6 decades, is that if he had been a better boxer, he might never have had a career in golf.
Born Anthony J. LoPresti in San Francisco on July 24, 1908, Tony quickly became known as Tommy as he worked his way up the golf ladder.
Tom was not only a wonderful golf professional, he was young, but a real up-and-comer.
I would caddy for Tom LoPresti from time to time when he came over. I just knew of him as being a successful pro and looked up to him. Tom LoPresti was outgoing, flamboyant, full of energy, exciting to be around.
And really, there was a lot of excitement around Tom coming to Sacramento from San Francisco.
In establishing Haggin Oaks Golf Complex as what he called the public course with the country club touch, LoPresti carried out the advice given to him early in his career by none other than Gene Sarazen. While caddying, LoPresti had tried his hand in a few professional golf tournaments. Sarazen told him, "Quit the tour, go west, and become the best darned golf pro in the business." And he did.
Tom LoPresti was Mr. Golf. Everybody knew him. And he really took a lot of pride in building relationships with golfers throughout Sacramento.
You know, even back as a child, he was so friendly, and you could just see this aura about him that people were gravitated toward. Tom LoPresti was always about the customer, the golfer, and the consumer. Everything he did was always about creating this amazing experience for the golfer.
After 30 years, just midway through his remarkable career, LoPresti was named PGA Golf Professional of the Year nationally in 1962. It's kind of a worn-out phrase, but the completely satisfied customer is the best public relations your course can have, he would say in a Golfdom magazine article on his career. Many of LoPresti's accomplishments were contained on a wall of photos in his office featuring some of his most famous friends and students. There was LoPresti with Barbara Romack, the 1954 U.S. Women's Amateur Champion, who became the first female golfer to grace the cover of Sports Illustrated. There was Tom and Bob Lund, 1963 U.S. Amateur Public Links Champion and 6-time PGA Tour winner, and he made his own Sports Illustrated cover in 1969.
There's a side of Tom LoPresti that a lot of people aren't aware of, and that is that he actually was a very good golfer. He qualified to play in the National PGA Championship.
LoPresti's ability to create and develop relationships with not only golf legends, but Hollywood legends allowed him to host incredible events at Haggin Oaks.
He got to know Sam Snead and several of the golfers of that era, Ben Hogan and Tommy Armour. He actually used those relationships over the years to create exhibitions and interest in the game in Sacramento.
Out here we'd have events with Babe Ruth, and we hosted some events with tour players and whatnot, and that was all because of Tom LoPresti.
LoPresti helped coordinate a Red Cross exhibition that was held in 1942 during World War II. The celebrity foursome included Bing Crosby, Bob Hope, Babe Ruth, and California Governor Culbert Olson. An estimated 10,000 people each ponied up 25 cents to watch the Stars play that day and contribute to a good cause.
By having Tom come to run Haggin Oaks, the city also had the ability to become a PGA Tour stop, and Tom really pushed for that.
His relationship with all the PGA legends of the day allowed Haggin Oaks to host a tour stop in the late 30s and early 40s called the Sacramento Open.
The Sacramento Open was part of the PGA Tour.
And Tom really helped develop that event and make the Sacramento Open a really looked forward to event for the best players in the world when they would come to Sacramento.
In the 1935 Sacramento Open, Harold McSpadden shot a 4-under par 284 and took home the first place paycheck of $600. Walter Hagen was one shot back and made $400 for second place. Gene Sarazen finished 8th and probably didn't make expenses that week as he earned all of $72. Johnny Revolta came in 19th and pocketed $22.
It was just a neat thing that they got things going, that snowballed what golf turned out to be today in the Sacramento region.
LoPresti was an outstanding instructor and teacher, and because he came up the hard way, went out of his way to make golf accessible to everyone he would meet.
Tom LoPresti was widely regarded as one of the best teachers and coaches in the region during that period of time. And he just had a really neat way about him, and he was really coached to the athlete themselves, to the golfer, rather than to a systematic approach.
Haggin Oaks would have a remarkable 4 different active women's home clubs during his time there and robust junior golf programs.
He was very involved in women's golf, and he helped create the original Sacramento Women's Golf Club back in the early 1930s. He also created the first ever business women's golf club in America. And so he was very interested in making sure that women enjoyed the game.
He was an incredibly savvy retailer, and with personal relationships with equipment legends like Hogan and Penna, would often purchase entire supplies of year-end club heads, and with his team there at Haggin, would assemble them at the golf course and offer them at drastic discounts. Tom was inducted into the California Golf Writers Hall of Fame in 1974, into the PGA National Hall of Fame in 2005, and the Northern California PGA Hall of Fame in the class of 2018.
Mr. LoPresti came into our very first class of Northern California PGA Hall of Fame honorees. That was in 2018. And we had, at that point, almost a 90-year history to catch up on. So we went back digging through the records for those people that may have that influence, not only on ourselves, but on their communities. And Mr. LoPresti fell in all those categories.
I think the amazing thing that started really with Tom LoPresti is that, and it's a philosophy we share to this day, is that if you're not growing and improving just a little bit each year, you're really going backwards. And so, every year he would attempt to just do a little something to grow, whether it's, helping to train the staff, whether it's improving what we do in the retail space or at the golf course level, on the courses themselves, whatever it might be. It's always about just getting better and improving and bringing a better experience to the golfer. And that's something that Tom LoPresti really began way back in the 30s.
LoPresti would pass away a month short of his 90th birthday in June of 1998. Beloved wife Ruth would pass away later that week.
Tom LoPresti's legacy was making customers first. Everything that we did was to put them in front of all of our decision making.
I see Tom LoPresti's legacy living here every day I come to work, which is pretty astounding and amazing, but at the same time, a testament to the man himself. Probably almost every single person I personally give a golf lesson to, there is some Tom LoPresti isms that happen. Sometimes I do catch that, which I think is kind of funny and neat. And so I think every day people are working toward that mission and goal of treating the golfer, amazing each and every day, making sure the facility keeps growing and brings to Sacramento what our golfers deserve. And that was all because of Tom LoPresti.
Without a doubt, that former caddy turned golf pro set the stage for what golf professionals could and should be.
If it weren't for Tom LoPresti, a lot of us would not be where we ultimately ended up to be.
Perhaps his biggest achievement was his brilliant hire of his successor, who would go on to become the most awarded PGA professional in the association's history.
It was a late afternoon at Del Paso Country Club in 1951. An 11-year-old boy from Carmichael arrived to caddy for the very first time.
It was out of necessity that brought Ken Morton to the course that day. His father, Arthur, was blind, and it was his mother's sole income at the Campbell soup plant that supported the family. As golf does so often, good fortune created relationships that changed a life. The head golf professional at Del Paso, Frank Minch Sr., took a liking to Ken and developed him as a player throughout his teen years.
I was a very good junior golfer. I had won the Northern California High School Championship, and I'd won the City College Championship statewide.
He learned things beyond his caddy duties, learning the basics of how to manage a golf shop and how to do club repair work. When Morton graduated from high school, the local Haggin Oaks pro called his friend Frank Minch and asked if he knew of anyone that could run his club repair business. Minch knew of just the person. Ken then joined the staff at Haggin Oaks under professional Tom LoPresti in 1958. Initially hired to do all of the course's club repair work.
And little by little, I began to evolve as a golf professional.
During his early years at Haggin Oaks, Ken was first a teaching professional and then moved up to become Mr. LoPresti's first assistant in 1964, and later became his partner and co-professional in 1971.
That was really an unusual thing, but this facility is so big, it really needed that. But what was really happening was Tom was getting towards the end of his career, and the baton was getting passed from Tom LoPresti to Ken Morton Sr.
They remained partners until Mr. LoPresti retired in 1991, and then he took over the reins individually.
One of Ken Morton Sr.'s best strengths is how personable he is. Ken had this personal relationship with all the golfers. He knew them by name, and they knew him by name. He was their golf pro. He would help them with equipment. He would give them lessons. He was there to help them pick the right country club to join. He was their golf person. He was interested in your career, and he wanted to see you grow and excel and succeed.
Ken's insatiable curiosity to keep learning led him to dive headfirst into the PGA of America's education, eventually becoming one of their faculty members. That training and sharing of ideas over his work in the PGA for more than 3 decades was the wealth of ideas and source of inspiration to continually reinvent what Haggin Oaks could be.
Ken Morton Sr.'s impact at Haggin Oaks is powerful. He's always been the spearhead of golf in our greater Sacramento area. Every golf professional that you talk to that knows the Morton family has some story about Ken, and it's always about how he grew the game of golf.
He would borrow ideas from some of the best professionals across the country and apply them at his own course, whether it was groundbreaking, junior golf programming, club fitting technology, staff training, women's golf opportunities, retail concepts that would eventually lead to a super shop, lighted driving ranges that would be open 24 hours a day, learning new course maintenance standards, or helping lead Titleist as a longtime member of their executive advisory staff, Morton was always trying new ideas.
He's done a great job here because everything that I see here, I didn't see when I played in 1960 and 62 in the state fair. Everything has expanded since he took over. It's phenomenal.
This led the PGA of America to select Morton to work hand in hand with Stanford Research Institute. And it was their work together that developed the training and courses that every single assistant golf professional had to go through and pass to become a PGA professional. Morton's quest for learning literally now touches tens of thousands of golf professionals across the country.
He's been very influential to our section in terms of knowing our history and that quiet guidance. All the writing that he's done in terms of developing the customer service manual, all the history of the organizations that he's welcomed, the organizations that he started, such as Say Golf many years ago. Those are the things that people do on a day-to-day basis, not looking for any return on it, just feeling that's good for the community, good for the game. And we noticed, as so many have.
From Sacramento, California, our 1998 PGA Golf Professional of the Year, Ken Morton Sr.
In the Sacramento market, even today, people don't recognize Ken Morton Sr.'s place in the overall golf industry throughout the world. When we leave Sacramento and we go to other places, people are so excited to meet Ken Morton Sr. and they just can't believe that this person is real because he's done so much and he's won so many awards and he's so highly regarded in our industry.
Hard work, dumb luck, opportunity, and that insatiable curiosity has led Morton to be recognized as the most awarded PGA golf professional in the association's history. Among those include induction into the National PGA Hall of Fame in 2005, National PGA Professional of the Year in 1998, two-time National PGA Merchandiser of the Year, National PGA Junior Golf Leader Award winner, National PGA Horton Smith Award for PGA Education, California Golf Writers Golf Person of the Year Award, Golf Digest Magazine's Top 72 Most Important People in Golf, and the first Sacramento Golf Hall of Fame inductee. And the list could go on and on and on.
He's influenced so much and did that very quietly. And that's how you wind up in the Hall of Fame. You just go about your business on a day-to-day basis with no other intent than to make everybody else successful. And all of a sudden, here we are, 60 years later at Haggin Oaks, still celebrating Mr. Morton. That's fitting.
Ken Morton Sr. and the golf facilities his company manages have become the recognized business standards for the golf industry. And as he's grown older, he's recognized that it isn't the awards or the plaques on his wall that will be his lasting legacy. It will be how Haggin Oaks has been utilized to create a love of the game and a lasting positive impact on the community.
You know, having Ken Morton Sr. as a mentor for 30 plus years is something that I find to be really special. He's the ultimate mentor. He knows everything about the golf industry, and he's such a caring person.
Ken Morton Sr.'s time at Haggin Oaks has been unbelievable. I think one of the biggest things that I always want to say about Ken Morton Sr. is how he interacts with children. The children just marvel at everything that comes out of his mouth because they know he has the experience. And Ken looks at that child and believes in them from the start to the finish.
You talk to them a little bit, you grab a little nugget here, a little nugget there. They're small things. He probably doesn't remember saying these things, but as a kid, you remember all of it.
And it makes you enjoy it because when you're out here, someone makes you feel like $1 million or always tells you they're proud of you. I mean, that makes you want to be in that environment.
He was a role model, a mentor, helped me really not just as a golfer or an employee, but as a person.
I just love the guy. I feel like he's a brother, you know, because there were times where we had years that we didn't see each other or even talk each other. But it's like old times when we're together.
His never-ending work creating programming and access to the game of golf and making it a joy in the process will be his legacy.
Tom LoPresti's legacy was making customers first. My legacy is to continue with his and to be really thought of as maybe representing people from all walks of life for the game. Haggin Oaks is my life. It's part of my DNA. It's something that I could have never believed that I could have done when I was a kid.
Ken Morton Sr.'s influence is everywhere. Ken's influence for sure continues to this day in our culture, and I think that's going to be influence that will never change for Haggin Oaks or Morton Golf.
He created a mission statement early in his career that has been his guiding principle: to enrich lives one golfer at a time. Well, for me, personally, and all the other golfers in Northern California, I think we can all say our lives have certainly been enriched. No discussion of the history of Haggin Oaks would be complete without the amateur championships that have been played across its fairways for 90 years.
People really love having their facility attached to kind of some big events and famous events. And you know, Haggin Oaks has hosted a couple USJ events over the years, and State Fair Championships have been going on forever. And so those key events do bring a lot of pride to the local community for their golf course.
One of our favorite events of the year, the biggest competitive event in the Sacramento area, is called the California State Fair Championship.
The California State Fair Championship was actually created by the Del Paso Country Club in the middle 1920s. They dropped the tournament after a few years, and then it came here eventually and has been played here ever since.
And it's hosted the best players in the world. The top amateurs in the world come to Haggin Oaks to try to win this prestigious event.
With previous winners like PGA and LPGA Tour stars George Archer, Ken Venturi, Bobby Smith, Alice Miller, and Kevin Sutherland, and combined with modern previous participants like Cameron Champ, Colin Morikawa, Max Homa, Patrick Cantlay, Maverick McNeely, and Nick Watney, it's literally been a who's who of phenomenal golf.
The State Fair was a big gathering of not just Sacramento golfers, but of Northern California golfers.
It was always good fields. I looked at the starting times of way back when, and my goodness, I could still name names of good players that did well. You know, it's like Bert Callison and Tom Dixon and others.
A visit to the MacKenzie Sports Bar and Grill is never complete without seeing the incredible list of past champions etched on the historic Sacramento Clearinghouse Silver Trophy that was first used in the California State Fair Golf Championship back in 1925 and won by Gio Ricci from the Olympic Club.
You kind of look forward to it the whole year. I mean, it was the major of majors in Sacramento. All you have to do is look at the trophy. There's a lot of names on there that guys that went onto the PGA Tour and had great success and stuff like that. It's not just the professional ranks, it's the legacy of guys who are career amateurs who won that tournament. So the trophy speaks for itself. The names on it say that this tournament it's an iconic tournament. The legacy is extraordinary.
Names etched on the trophy include those with incredible golf life stories, names like Vern Callison, local amateur playing legend, who won 2 national USGA championships, 7 California State Fair Golf Championships, and over 30 local club championships. Al Geiberger, known as Mr. 59, the Sacramentoan won the 1955 California State Fair Golf Championship and another 21 PGA and Senior PGA Tour victories, including the 1966 PGA Championship. Dick Lotz won the 1961 and 1962 California State Fair Golf Championships at Haggin Oaks Golf Complex. Lotz played on the PGA Tour from 1964 to 1978 and won 3 events. His career year was 1970 when he won twice, finishing 7th on the money list and received Golf Digest Most Improved Golfer Award.
The first time I won it, that was the first time I played here. We got here the day before the first round. You have to understand, this is in the early 50s, and my mom and dad weren't rich. So We brought our sleeping bags. We asked Tom LoPresti and Ken Morton if we could hang out at the driving range and sleep overnight. She says, yeah, sure, go ahead and do it. So we did. And right around 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:15, the superintendent comes and said, hey boys, wake up, get out of here, they're about ready to hit. I was fortunate enough to shoot 2 under par 70. I played well the second day and the third day and ended up winning. That was invaluable to me.
Earl Stewart. Stewart had 3 wins in PGA Tour events during his career. His first win came in 1953 at the Greater Greensboro Open. He would win the Ardmore Open later that year, and his best finish in a major was tied for 15th at the Masters in 1953. He won the 1945 California State Fair Golf Championship at Haggin Oaks, and he would also go on to be Payne Stewart's swing coach. And there's one that isn't etched on the trophy, but almost would have been.
Perhaps our most notable California State Fair Golf Championship was back in 1965. Future PGA Tour star Ron Ceruto tied Barry Hansen after the final round of the event, and they both went to the first hole, a par 5, for a playoff. They both hit drives down the first fairway, both hit really good drives, both were able to reach the green in 2, and Barry Hansen pulled out a wood and actually holed it for an albatross. And for golfers, that's one better than a hole-in-one. It's even more rare than a hole-in-one. And everyone, the large crowd that was following the group, all turned around and started walking in with Ron Ceruto still holding his wood saying, hey, what about me? I still got a shot at this. And he proceeded to hit it up really close. He would have actually had an eagle that ended up losing to an albatross.
For nearly a century, 98 years to be exact, the California State Fair Golf Championship at the Alister MacKenzie Golf Club at Haggin Oaks has been one of the oldest and most prestigious amateur championships in the West.
I think it was the first time I ever had a course record. It was really the first moment in my golfing career of where I really did something really special on a bigger stage a little bit. Playing the state fair really prepared myself for playing in other tournaments further down the road. To win the state fair would be a huge achievement and something that you remember the rest of your life.
But Haggin Oaks has also been the site of 2 different USGA national championships. The first being the 1963 U.S. Amateur Public Links Championship.
Having a USGA event is a big deal. It really is.
Anytime a golf course hosts a USGA national event, it can't do anything but help its reputation.
The Haggin Oaks property is one of the few properties in the world to host 2 United States Golf Association championships, both the USGA Pub Links Men's Championship and the USGA Pub Links Women's Championship.
Local Bay Area kid Bob Lunn would secure a 1-up victory over Stephen Opperman of South San Francisco. Lunn was 18 years, 2 months, and 18 days old at the time and goes down as the youngest champion in APL history. The event launched Lunn onto the national stage. When asked about his victory, Lunn recounts, "It was hot as a Dickens. I grew up in San Francisco playing all my golf at Harding Park, and that's where we qualified to make the trip. But I hadn't ventured much out of the city. For me to go to Sacramento, it was 105 or 106 in July. It was a killer for me." Lunn worked at Haggin Oaks that following couple of years, doing anything needed from picking range balls to helping with clinics. In the fall of 1966, Lunn took his first crack at PGA qualifying school. Lunn went on to win 6 PGA Tour events between 1968 and 1972, and was named the Tour's Most Improved Player in 1968 by Golf Digest. Lunn competed in 15 majors, including 6 U.S. Opens, where his best finish was a tie for 3rd at Hazeltine National Golf Club in suburban Minneapolis in 1970. One of those victories was with a set of clubs he borrowed from none other than his good friend, Ken Morton. Roughly 30 years later, the USGA would again choose Haggin Oaks as the host site as one of their respected national championships, this one being the 1992 Women's Amateur Public Links Golf Championship.
When I heard that the Public Links Championship was going to be at my home course in 1992, I definitely did everything I could to qualify for it.
It's kind of like, I think, when you're in the Olympics and you find out you're going to be the perfect age in your sport when the Olympics comes.
I was so thrilled.
I felt very lucky that that was going to happen.
There was a buzz in Sacramento that week, largely due to a local couple of amateurs in Angie Peroni and Megan Hamilton, who beat the odds and nearly took home the trophy.
I can remember the crowds out here were really excited to have two hometown girls playing in the event.
So when I played in the pub links, I had to play the medalist. And she had set the course record the very first day of medal play. I think she shot 65. I remember someone saying to me that, you know what, on the second day of medal play, we shot the same score. So they said, yesterday, you and her shot exactly the same score. So it kind of gave me that confidence. I showed up and I took her to the 20th hole and I ended up winning. And that was by far my best accomplishment of golf ever.
She and I both kept winning matches, and folks from the community were here supporting us. I think I always have a special reminder of it as well because we're on a table in the cafe.
It was on the front page of the Sacramento Bee Sports page when you're 16. Nothing's better than that. It was an amazing week.
Amy Furworth of Phoenix defeated Sarah Evans 3-1 to win. Having already won the 1991 U.S. Women's Amateur Championship, Furworth joined Pearl Sin as the only player at the time to have won both the U.S. Women's Amateur and the WAPL. Furworth recalls what was most memorable from that week. I think it was the crowds. A lot of people came out to the event. I think it was Mr. Carroll Canfield, a local USGA committeeman, who ran the tournament at the time, and he made a great effort to get a gallery out there. That's what stands out. It felt like the community really supported the event. They were excited to come out and watch the women play.
It was really a fun experience playing the golf course from a different perspective because, you know, I had a yardage book out and I was like stepping things off and I was writing down how many yards things were, whereas all through growing up, I just played the golf course.
My grandfather was able to be out here. My dad caddied for me. Everybody just knew it was, here I was at my home course. It was quite good and it was a huge confidence builder. I think Ken Sr. in the Sacramento Bee said that it was like a $100,000 day because it got me my college scholarship.
Champions abound at Haggin Oaks and will forevermore as long as championships like these continue to be played on the MacKenzie designed course. But even on the national level, Haggin Oaks always seems to be making it about the local community with their local players making splashes on the PGA and LPGA tours. Perhaps another national championships is in Haggin Oaks' future.
When the San Juan Unified and Sacramento City school districts voted in 1983 to cut funding for high school golf, local junior golf would forever change here at Haggin Oaks and throughout the greater Sacramento community.
Because of what Frank Minch Sr. did for me as a young caddy and for what Tom LoPresti did for me as a young man, I began to realize that the future of the game was young people, and we needed to give every young person a chance to really enjoy and love the game.
Instead of killing off local junior golf participation, the exact opposite happened.
Les Streeper, the pro at Del Paso Country Club, we both came up through high school golf. We decided to create this 501c3 organization to be able to help the high schools keep golf in.
Armed with a community like-minded board, Ken Morton Sr. spearheaded the formation of the Sacramento Area Youth Golf Association, known as Say Golf, to keep the programs afloat.
We just said to them, we're not only expecting to keep golf in high schools, but we're actually going to help pay the stipends of the coaches in order to sustain it.
With the assistance of the Sacramento New Car Dealers Association, they fundraised enough funds that first year in order to refund every single golf team that had been defunded and kept high school golf alive.
Ken Sr. did a lot for junior golf. We would not be where we are today without him. Golf was not really a sport for kids in our area until Say Golf came along and really built it up.
Say Golf was the start of access to golf courses for those in the community that couldn't necessarily afford to be here or even thought of being here, because it's historically been thought of as, well, it's a wealthy game and so on and so forth.
That really has been a misnomer of golf, in that it's a really rich white man's sport, and we have done everything we can to break down that stigma of the game because we believe that people from all walks of life can play.
And Say Golf just broke down those barriers and opened the doors to the community.
And it just began to evolve more and more, and then it began to grow into a local junior tour and creating the Special Olympic programs, and it began to grow into lots of other variables that opened up the game to more and more kids.
Now, 40 years later, Sacramento's junior golf scene is the hotbed of teenage golf, with more scholarships being granted for area junior golfers than anywhere else in the country.
Seems so weird now because they're everywhere. You look around the golf course and there's juniors playing golf. It wasn't like it is now where there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of juniors just in Sacramento area who played golf. When I was growing up, there was 20 of us, and this is where we came.
For Morton, an inveterate organizer, the decision to form Say Golf was perfectly in character. From the earliest days working at Haggin Oaks Golf Complex, he says longtime head pro Tom LoPresti preached the player development mantra.
One of Ken Sr.'s biggest goals is to make sure that good junior golfers come out of our Sacramento area, and every single year, multiple boys and girls prove that they can go on and play in the PGA Tour.
Sacramento, a lot of people don't recognize this, puts more children into kind of Division I golf per capita than probably about any city in the country, which is pretty crazy to imagine. It's because the community has wrapped their arms around golf and support, and oftentimes it comes through this facility here at Haggin Oaks.
Player development remains central to the culture and business strategy of Haggin Oaks. Long before anyone in golf was talking about Grow the Game initiatives and the First Tee, Haggin Oaks was investing in player recruitment through targeted programming for juniors. It has developed a long list of programs for preschoolers, elementary school age kids, middle schoolers, and high schoolers. And it has been able to rationalize this investment in part by building alliances with an incredible army of volunteers and more than a dozen local support groups that lend expertise and help defray costs.
Ken Morton Sr. received, accolades in, I believe it was Golf Digest for Little Inkers. It was revolutionary at the time.
If I hadn't had the programs I grew up with in Say Golf, I don't think there's any way I would have been the golfer I became.
The fact that Haggin Oaks golf programs teach life skills to juniors, help rehabilitate the disabled, and roll out the red carpet for women only strengthens the marriage between city and facility. Ruffin Beckwith, Executive Director of the Golf Industry's 2020 program to increase golf participation of golf across the United States, said, "If we had 15,500 Ken Mortons at U.S. golf courses, we wouldn't need Golf 2020.
I think the biggest way that Ken Sr. grew the game of golf was what he did with creating the First Tee.
In the middle 1990s, when the PGA Tour, PGA of America, and the USGA were putting together a plan on what they wanted their national First Tee program to look like, they knew they had the model already with Say Golf.
The original point of First Tee nationally is to make golf accessible to, everybody. I think you could really say that Say Golf had that mentality before First Tee did.
It was people out of Ponte Vedra Beach over at the PGA who came to Ken Sr. and said, "We'd like to start the First Tee. Your template of Say Golf is what we'd like to look at in order for what the First Tee would be."
It's pretty special, I think, that our program here at Say Golf had an impact on starting the First Tee way back then.
First Tee Chief Executive Officer Joe Louis Barrow Jr. would come to Sacramento and meet with the Say Golf team at Haggin Oaks and would use the local nonprofit as the model by which every single chapter in the country would be created. The Sacramento Area Youth Golf 501c3 model would be used to touch nearly every single junior golfer in the country.
We actually became the third chapter of First Tee back in 1997.
I do believe that the First Tee of Greater Sacramento has always been the largest chapter.
For two Say Golf juniors, life came full circle. Angie Perroni and Megan Hamilton, now Angie Dixon and Megan Fiddler, were inaugural members of the Little Linkers program. Both received full scholarships to college to play golf and eventually found their way back to Haggin Oaks and Say Golf, now First Tee of Greater Sacramento. They visit the schools and give demonstrations, run multiple junior golf tours, fund several outreach programs for youths aged 3 to 18, and bring golf lessons to Sacramento area elementary schools, including physically and mentally disadvantaged children. They've handed out hundreds of thousands of dollars of college scholarships and bring inner city kids into the game.
Since I started in 2001, the First Tee has grown exponentially. We really started back then with probably about 5,000 young people who were being positively impacted annually right here in Sacramento. And to date, we're reaching a little over 58,000 every year in Sacramento.
We're doing the same thing that was started with Say Golf, is that giving kids opportunities to play play and compete and make relationships so that they become golfers for life.
The children learn 9 core values of honesty, integrity, sportsmanship, respect, confidence, responsibility, perseverance, courtesy, and judgment. They also learn life skills such as how to introduce themselves, to resolve conflicts, to set step-by-step goals, to plan for the future, and to appreciate diversity, as well as 9 healthy habits of energy, play, safety, vision, mind, family, friends, school, and community.
We're making a big difference in the lives of young people who wouldn't normally come out to the golf course. It feels like a big family. There's so much support from the community, and I love that.
My favorite part about working for First Tee is that I get to meet these kids and I get to watch them grow. Having my career be working for Say Golf with the First Tee program has meant a lot. It's really a full circle moment.
I think working for First Tee, as I started with First Tee, starting in the competitive program just felt right.
Today, First Tee Greater Sacramento reaches nearly 58,000 kids a year.
I mean, we are still Say Golf. The same program that was started by Ken all the way back in 1983 is the same program that we're still running today. It's fun to kind of be the next generation of what Ken started. And, look forward to seeing the next generations after that carry the torch.
When I first created programs here, I never imagined that it would turn into something that would touch thousands of golfers every year. You could say that, yes, I'm very proud of those people who have gone on and played PGA Tour golf and LPGA Tour golf, but I'm really more proud of being able to help make young kids better citizens and to be able to play golf for the rest of their life. That's really my core reason for being here.
It's been a wild ride since refunding those few dozen local high schools 40 plus years ago.
Through 90 years of operation, the Haggin Oaks Golf Complex has not gone without change. There have been 2 major renovations to the property, with the first beginning in the 1950s.
In the middle 1950s, the state of California decided that it was going to build the Capital City Freeway from downtown Sacramento to connect with Interstate 80 just east of the golf course.
They told the city of Sacramento that we're going to build a freeway through here and we need you to move your golf course over a little bit.
The proposed Capital City Freeway would pass through a major portion of Haggin Oaks, covering 2 holes of the MacKenzie course, the clubhouse, and several other parts of the property.
Not only did those 2 holes need to be moved, but the clubhouse was located right where the freeway is today. The clubhouse, the practice putting green, the driving range, it was all in that area.
And so what happened was that took out the original clubhouse and part of the original driving range. And then the clubhouse was relocated from being at the end of the second green all the way over to where it is today. In fact, the first tee at Haggin Oaks today was the 17th tee way back when.
This change, however, quickly turned out to be a blessing in disguise.
I think that was viewed as kind of a negative thing at the time, but the reality is really great for this facility because it was the reason the Arcade Creek 18-hole golf course was built.
In the 1950s, the city of Sacramento was looking to build another municipal golf course on a slight budget. The city didn't have a lot of money for golf at the time, but they had a great piece of land adjacent to Haggin Oaks that had yet to be developed, and a superintendent who helped build the MacKenzie course alongside Alister MacKenzie.
Boy, how lucky were they that they had a golf course superintendent that was also a designer and a builder of golf courses in Mac McDonough. And so they hired Mac to build the Arcade Creek golf course.
He was able to build 1-9 and get it open by 1957, and then finish the second 9 in 1958.
The Arcade Creek golf course can be played as either a 9-hole track or a full 18-hole course. Designed to be a more developmental golf course, the Arcade Creek golf course was meant to be friendly to golfers of every skill level.
And I think the result of that is you have a golf course that really fits the landscape really well. And it's really a golf course that's friendly to golfers of all skill levels. And I think that's really what the Arcade Creek golf course is known for.
The second major renovation would come to the MacKenzie course at the turn of the century in 1999. After 67 history-filled years, the MacKenzie course was starting to show signs of age. The city of Sacramento decided it was time for the course to receive a major facelift.
The utilities department for the city of Sacramento realized that the Arcade Creek was creating floods in very rainy years, and they needed to do something in order to be able to impact and slow down the water going down the creek. It required redoing 6 holes to be able to reroute the golf course to be able to fix it. And during the construction, the city of Sacramento came to us and said, you know, while we're doing this, is there anything else we need to do? So we actually added another 6 holes of reconstruction, and that created the renovation of the original course.
And in 1999, we broke ground on the golf course and did this great renovation to the MacKenzie course that included 11 new greens and a bunch of new holes on the course and an automated irrigation system.
During that time, we needed to take some holes out of play, and in order to keep the course open, that's when the academy holes were built. We could take 3 holes out of play and put those 3 holes in. The greens fees were like 50% of their normal rate because it was not in top shape at that particular time.
Mike Osmondson was hired to do the renovation. He was briefed that we wanted to keep this feel of a MacKenzie golf course. The modernization was the key, to build greens that were built in USGA specifications and to have quality of turf that we have not had before was really important to the experience for golfers on the MacKenzie course.
A renovation of this magnitude was no simple task. Updating the course to modern specifications while maintaining MacKenzie's original design was not easy to do. But Mike Osmondson was the right person for the job and breathed new life to the MacKenzie golf course, bringing it to the state it is today.
He did a very good job of maintaining the integrity of his design.
I mean, each hole has just a wonderful feel on the MacKenzie golf course, and that deception is still there.
It was a job well done and well needed.
Shortly after this renovation, the city of Sacramento renewed its course management contract with Ken Morton Sr. And with this renewal came a new perspective.
The city wanted a longer-term contract, and they wanted someone to manage all of the city golf courses. And I thought, you know, at my age, the city really should have more people to be able to run the operations.
Just like Tom LoPresti before brought Ken Morton Sr., Ken realized it was time to bring on the next generation of management to Haggin Oaks.
That's when I brought in Terry Daubert, our president, and Mike Woods, general manager for golf here at Haggin Oaks Golf Complex, and my son Ken Morton Jr., who is in charge of retail and marketing, and my other son Tom Morton, who's in charge of player development.
These 5 would continue to manage the course as a team until 2021, when Ken Morton Sr. retired from day-to-day operations at Haggin Oaks after 63 years of working on the course.
If I were to sum up Haggin Oaks, for me personally, it has been exciting and an unbelievable lifetime experience. What I'm most proud of is leaving a team here at the golf course that really knows what they're doing. I almost say that it's one of the finest management teams in the golf business at municipal and public golf course play.
After 6 decades, Haggin Oaks has been passed into the hands of the next generation. Under the current management, Haggin Oaks aims to be a home for golfers in the Sacramento area and beyond, and a trailblazer in making the game more accessible for all.
Haggin Oaks in the game of golf has a lot of areas that we can improve on and grow. We're still working on getting more and more people to play this great game and to fall in love with golf.
One of the things we want to do here at Haggin Oaks and at Morton Golf is to be more inclusive and welcoming to every single golfer that wants to play this great game of golf. Every walk of life, we really just want to make it as widespread and enjoyable to everyone as we can.
We will hang on to the traditions that Haggin Oaks has been, which is treat the golfer great, have something for everybody, yet bring to them the latest and greatest and what's happening in the game and staying at the top of the trends in the golfing world to make sure that it's just the place to be.
If we continue down the path of Tom LoPresti and Ken Sr. before us, we're going to see a whole generation of new golfers that call Haggin Oaks their home.
Today's Haggin Oaks is a veritable message of change in motion as it modernizes with the times and continues to evolve with new services, activities, and events designed first with community in mind. They have a goal of raising the experience of the golfer and bettering the community.
The first of those is the annual Golf and Guitars Music Festival, inaugurated in 2007. It's raised just shy of $1.5 million for charity since its inception.
Golf and Guitars actually was the brainchild of two people, our old program director, Mark Evans, and Ken Morton Jr.
Our very first Golf and Guitars was kind of born out of a celebration. My dad was celebrating his 50th year here at the Haggin Oaks Golf Course, and he wanted to celebrate his anniversary with an event around music.
Kenny was over at KNCI, and him and the general manager got together and said, wouldn't it be fun to put together music and golf?
Because I remember Mark coming back and going, I think we're going to do a concert on a golf course. And so they developed this thing that became Golf and Guitars.
It is a charity event where country artists come from all over the world to come and celebrate music and golf at Haggin Oaks.
For a country music lover or just a music lover, it's completely unique.
It involves a songwriter's guitar pull event on night one from music's best songwriters, followed by a celebrity AM golf tournament and a concert right on the golf course for several thousand people featuring some of country music's biggest stars. 100% of the balance of net proceeds benefit children's charities, and most right here in Sacramento. It nearly all goes to veterans and handicapped and underserved kids.
It's not like anybody's making any money off of this. It's all going to a great cause.
We know the winners are our youth, disabled and underserved.
And that's what this is all about, really, is earning money so these kids can have scholarships. I don't think there's any place else in Sacramento, because you have, at the very heart of all of it, Ken's passion for country music, golf, and helping people. I think that's the triple bogey's bad. That's a eagle. That's like an eagle. I don't know what I'm saying.
No, you're right. You're right.
Since the beginning, artists have included names like Justin Moore, Clay Walker, Walker Hayes, Love and Theft, Thomas Rhett, Deanna Carter, Chris Young, Jake Owen, Tracy Lawrence, Montgomery Gentry, The Band Perry, Kix Brooks, Josh Turner, John Michael Montgomery, and more to participate. For 2 nights under the Haggin Oaks nighttime sky, Nashville comes to town. It's an event that certainly puts the fun in fundraiser.
Haggin Oaks is synonymous with Golf and Guitars. Golf and Guitars doesn't happen without Haggin Oaks.
To me, it's the most fun event that we do every year. I mean, it feels like family, it feels like going home. It's almost like walking into golf church.
And it's on an iconic place in Sacramento. This is ours, and it's uniquely Sacramento, and it's so special.
As the golfer enters the 1997 creation and the Haggin Oaks Golf Super Shop's oasis of golf merchandise, one immediately recognizes that they are not entering an everyday pro shop.
In the 1990s, we were putting on a demo day and an expo.
People would come from neighboring cities and areas in California to come to the tent show every year.
In fact, it got to be to the magnitude that it did almost as much business as we did the rest of the year.
In 1995, we had a huge tropical storm blow through Sacramento, and the winds broke both poles and actually collapsed and flooded the entire parking lot.
We had to decide what to do next. Ken Morton Sr. and Ken Morton Jr. really had this vision of building what we know today as the Super Shop.
So our big super sale tent that usually was just the month of April ended up now becoming this cool super shop that was 12 months a year.
Named by Golf World and Golf Digest as the #1 public golf shop in the United States, the Haggin Oaks Golf Super Shop is the only golf store in the world with the distinction of being named as a top 100 store and an AGM Best of the Best golf shop every year of those awards' existence.
Golfers were really excited when the Super Shop first opened. This dedicated space is like nothing else in the golf industry.
What makes it so special is really the people inside. We have an incredible crew that all really are the most educated in the industry. And that combined with a selection that's really unparalleled for an on-course golf shop, it really allows the customer to have a view of everything that's available in the marketplace, but be able to lean on this incredible expertise that our staff has that you really can't find anywhere else.
With 15,000 square feet of retail space, the shop is both the largest in size and in volume of any on-course golf shop in the United States.
As soon as you walked in, you're welcomed and just guided, advised, whatever makes you comfortable. I can't imagine what's not in here.
Highlights include a 1,000 square foot putting green surrounded by 2 realistic full-size trees and offers over 700 putters for trial. Invention meets nostalgia in the remarkable transformation of a 1929 Ford Model T truck that has been converted into a most ingenious Callaway golf ball display. Golfers can check out the largest on-course golf clothing department featuring in-store concept shops from the likes of Adidas, Nike, Travis Mathew, Jamie Saddock, Puma, Under Armour, and FootJoy. It just might be golf's favorite toy store.
People or customers who love golf, this is just the place to be. Everything that they imagine as far as in the golf business or in a golf shop is here at the Haggin Oaks Super Shop. They're not going to find that at other golf courses or other pro shops.
Built in 2007, the Player Performance Studio continues to define what club fitting is in the golf industry. The staff of more than a dozen certified club fitting experts consists of PGA golf professionals and industry veterans with decades of fitting experience.
The Player Performance Studio is a 3-bay hitting area that hits out onto the driving range. A big separator for us. There isn't anyone around our area that has anything like it.
It's why the fitting team has won dozens of Club Fitter of the Year industry awards. With not one, but 3 Doppler radar TrackMan launch monitors, the team provides the same experience and uses the same fitting equipment used by PGA Tour professionals. In 2021, the Haggin Oaks Golf Complex driving range changed how hitting balls will forever be by installing the new Top Tracer monitors and technology to enhance the driving range experience for all golfers in a family-friendly environment. Guests of all ages and ability levels can play a variety of fun and skill-based games, compete against friends, see their shot trace, and receive instant data on interactive game screens.
The driving range now is equipped with 52 TV monitors where when you come out to the range, you can not only see where every shot goes on the TV monitor, but you can also play games.
The range now is even more welcoming to kids than it was when I was playing. You know, it's a fun place to be. They have some music going, there's food, they have the TrackMan kind of set up on the driving range. For a kid, this is like heaven.
While indefinitely paused because of COVID, the Haggin Oaks Golf Expo certainly has had a historic relevance of its own over the course of its 44 years of existence. Named by Golf World, Golf Digest, and Golf Range magazines as the best golf promotion in the country, the Golf Expo grew to host every golf vendor you could imagine.
We'd have thousands of people here on our Golf Expo weekend. We would line our driving range completely full with all of these different vendors, if you will, and it became a must-attend event for customers far and wide.
The largest consumer golf event in the world drew more than 22,000 golfers over 3 days in late April and brought more than 190 vendors together, and it including tour van fitting opportunities, the Sacramento Golf Hall of Fame induction ceremony, celebrity appearances, golf comedy, and lots of education on the Golf-to-Go game improvement stage. In 2008, the owners of Morton Golf, LLC, decided as part of their community outreach to create a 501c3 charitable entity to financially help underserved golf organizations that are in need, as well as programs for the disabled and youth within the Sacramento region. The Morton Golf Foundation was born in 2010.
The first tee had a niche where it was really growing the game through schools and high schools and inner schools and things like that. What we decided was we needed to form another 501c3 in order to be able to raise money to be able to grow the game.
And at that time it was like, let's start a foundation to turn no person away from playing the game of golf. We started with what we felt that was needed in our greater Sacramento area in order to give back to youth, disabled, and underserved.
The whole idea of the Morton Golf Foundation is to be able to raise money to grow the game and allow people to get in and play it that wouldn't otherwise be able to do so.
The vision of the organization is to research and help supplement needy programs within the Sacramento region that open up the game of golf to people from all walks of life. It didn't take long to learn there were several small groups in the region that not only introduce golf to different special interest groups, but also use golf to build character and lifelong relationships. First Tee Greater Sacramento was the first entity in Sacramento that was selected as a recipient of the funds. The Morton Golf Foundation quickly learned there to be several needy kids in the area that didn't have the financial resources within their family to purchase equipment, take golf instruction, or pay the fees to compete in local competitions. It was also discovered that every year the area was beginning to turn out several high-quality youth golfers who needed help for college.
Many of the juniors that come back here as adults to play Haggin Oaks could be the David Sutherlands of the world or the Kevin Sutherlands. One of the first people that we funded through the Morton Golf Foundation was Cameron Champ. Another one is Austin Smotherman. There's probably approximately 100 juniors that we've affected by giving them financial funding.
Now, all these years in, the organization has given more than $1 million to deserving local golfing organizations such as the Golf for Health, a program using golf to rehabilitate stroke victims, and Society for the Blind, a program that allows the sight impaired to play golf. Morton Golf Foundation helps fund Boys and Girls Clubs, Center for Fathers and Families, Latino Junior Golf Program, and the Northern California Minority Junior Golf Scholarship Association. All four of those programs opening up golf to new, diverse, and inclusive to audiences that previously found golf to be too exclusive. It funds the California Eagles, the first and largest Special Olympics golf program in the country. It also gives 24 college scholarships a year, as well as providing financial support to local youth golfers in need. It funds multiple programs for local vets, including the amazing PGA Hope, a free adaptive program that introduces veterans with disabilities to golf to enhance their physical, mental, social, and emotional well-being.
You know, I've talked to many juniors on what their feelings are about Haggin Oaks, and many of these kids grew up on this golf course. This is home turf for them. It's an environment of safety for them. It's memories for them. They've won tournaments here, and it's a place that they will always remember.
In its 10 years of evolution or more now, we put more than $1 million into golf in this community, and that's what I'm most proud of, is being able to help those that need the help.
Today, the Morton Golf Foundation is helping better the lives of several kids programs, disabled programs, and hundreds of underserved individuals each and every year. In 2017, Haggin Oaks kicked off a new mission to bring more women golfers into the game by hiring the golf industry's very first women's golf ambassador in Linda Reed. Reed has her own team, more than 20 mentors who volunteer their time playing and helping out with new, newer, and returning women golfers to help them transition from lessons and classes to actually playing on a golf course. Her passion to share the game has touched more than 500 women who play in the weekly leagues. The goal is to teach every golfer the nuances of the game along with the rules so they will feel comfortable playing with anyone on any golf course. The program has grown so quickly that it has now been replicated in size and design at Haggin Oaks' sister courses, Bing Maloney and William Land. Designed to be much more social and much less competitive, Sacramento has seen a massive boon in new women to the game, largely driven by this Haggin Oaks initiative.
Every single year that Haggin Oaks continues on, we get better and better.
I know that our plan is to continue to grow, continue to take care of our customers the best we can, meet the needs and the wants of our community in Sacramento.
We are really poised to be more effective and to continue to grow in the future. I don't think golf in Sacramento has ever been any more than successful than it is today.
And what does the future hold for Haggin Oaks? With Morton Golf having many years left on its current contract, dozens of facility improvements are either in the works or in the planning phases. Practice green renovations, covered range stations, a new restaurant, driving range bathrooms, retail expansions, golf course improvements, Arcade Creek cart paths, modernized irrigation, and more are all things you can look forward to in your golfing future. The future at Haggin Oaks, it's brighter than ever.
When I think about 90 years from now, I have no idea what's going to happen 90 years from now. One of the things that I've kind of coined over the years is that you can never be fully prepared for the next era, but you got to be ready for something that comes around the bend that never happened before. You have to be willing to change.
I feel very positive with the future of Haggin Oaks. I know it'll be here for a long time.
I really don't know what Haggin Oaks is going to be like in 90 years. I'm sure it is going to be great though. They're always coming up with the latest and greatest thing for the golfers.
I hope it's the same. But I say that because I like things to stay the same. I know that's impossible, but I hope the vibe is exactly the same.
It's completely unique, and it will just keep on being unique and even more so over time.
And right next door will be Mel Rapton's Flying Cars.
I think it's going to look and feel a lot like it is. The game of golf is transforming slowly into a more social game, but at the heart of it, it's really about relationships, and it's about community, and it's about things that are kind of within our soul, and I don't think that's ever going to change.
90 years from now, hopefully the game will hold its character. Hopefully we will still have people to call Haggin Oaks their home here.
I would say if golf is still played then as it is today, Haggin Oaks will still be the place to come to get all your golfing needs taken care of. And I know that our culture won't change.
It's just going to keep becoming more valuable and more up-to-date and more of a model. The mission will be the same, but the way the mission is presented will just be current with the times and even more inclusive.
We're going to continue to study what the citizens of Sacramento want, and then we certainly hope to offer it to them. We're going to continue to offer this wonderful recreational game of golf at Haggin Oaks.
I imagine 90 years from now, Haggin Oaks is going to feel just like it did in the 1930s today, and 90 years from now, it's still this footprint. I think Haggin Oaks would still feel like home if I was able to be here.
We want to be a home away from home for golfers in our region. And so my hope is that 90 years from now, they're still talking about that, and it might look a lot different, but I still hope that theme runs throughout the facility, because that at its core is what makes it special.
I really believe the game of golf is about stories. It's about how it's changed people's lives. It's about how they enjoy the game. It's about the experiences that they've had. It's about the relationships they've built. And I really believe that the future of the game and the success of the game is for it to continue to grow in that direction.
You see, Haggin Oaks isn't just one single story along a single timeline. It's thousands of different stories woven together in this amazing tapestry of a treasured public golf course.
It's your very first hole-in-one. It's your last round of golf with a grandparent. It's your weekly get-together, an excuse to visit with your dad. Every story is different, and every single person who set foot on these hallowed grounds has their own unique story to tell. Thousands of different stars in their very own Haggin Oaks story. People like Rudy Lozano, a Mexican immigrant hired originally by Tom LoPresti to shine shoes, who would go on to become a shop manager for multiple decades and might be the most beloved staff member of all time. Austin Smotherman, now a PGA Tour star. He not only learned the game at Haggin Oaks, but met his future wife on his very first date at the Haggin Oaks driving range. Steve Fiddler, while working at the Haggin Oaks Golf Super Shop, met his future wife and would go on to have a family of 5 kids who all fell in love with the game of golf as well. Walter Strand, longtime Sacramento Golf Council volunteer, who as he lived into his 90s was given the title of Director of Sunshine so he could remain a fixture on the Sacramento Golf Club board. Doris Yates, possibly Hagin's biggest inspiration. Doris was an avid golfer and was a member of the Sacramento Women's Golf Club at Haggin Oaks for over 60 years, playing until she was 100 years old. Mike Dyson, the longtime lead cook at the MacKenzie Sports Bar and Grill, who goes about making sure to personalize specific dishes for customers that he's gotten to know over his career, making delicious meals for all the friends he's made at Haggin Oaks. Janie Booker, one of Haggin Oaks' many untold heroes. Her caring and relentless support of her California Eagles Special Olympics golf program is a marvel to watch, giving persons with special needs the opportunity to learn and enjoy the game ultimately well enough so they can participate with friends, family, and others. Jeremy McCarthy, an incredibly inspirational member of that same California Eagles program. Jeremy, along with his coach Tom Corlett, brought home a gold medal at the 2022 Special Olympic Games in Orlando, Florida.
And you, yes, you. Whether you just played your first round on the red and blue, or you've been a home club member for decades, you are a key part of the story of what makes Haggin Oaks so special.
Your last round, your next round, it's all part of the story, part of the memory bank for each of us.
For 90 years, Haggin Oaks has been the setting for us to write our own love affair with this great game of golf. And if we're fortunate, it will be the setting for us to continue that story for another 90 years.
Say goodbye when we say hello, like the winter wind we blow right through it. Off we go. The time we wish for is the time we need, I know. Nothing new gets old, living slow. Thought we tied the knot, somehow we worked it loose, running into directions, chasing a golden goose. The time we wish for seems forever close, and nothing new gets old, living slow.